Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. Mrs. Henderson, please take roll.
Mrs. Horn,
Here.
Mr. Chitwood,
Here.
Mrs. Baker,
Here.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet, here, Mr. Hull,
Here.
Mr. Beecham,
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you so much. Up next, approval of the agenda.
Yeah, Madam President, before we step forward on that, I'd like to just throw out a couple of potential amendments to the agenda. The first one is if we could get the girls flag football added to the action items following the discussion. And the only reason I say that is because they're trying to get this thing in place for the 26-27 school year. And we're running out of time.
Yeah, I already had it written up to do the same thing. So
Okay.
I agree.
And then the second one is I'd like to remove from the action items 9.02 and just postpone that until the next meeting, simply because we haven't had a lot of time to discuss that. And I know it's on the discussion items for tonight, but I think there probably needs to be additional follow-up before we actually take a vote on that one. So do we need a formal motion?
I'll try to restate just to make sure I
Okay.
understood, as I always will commit to do. So I think, Madam President, I move to approve the agenda as presented with the amendments. Addition of action item 9.05, approval of girls flag football as Acacia sanctioned sport to the athletic program of Spring Hill High School, and the removal of action item 9.02, 26-27 student handbook and code of conduct.
And I'll second that.
Okay, there's a
Second that.
motion and a second. Dr. Robinson, is that vote delay gonna put you guys in a position uncomfortable with?
Probably puts Mr. Terry in more of a bind than anybody else. We knew we were cutting it close with the cell phone stuff being added. So you've got one more meeting. So we can make it work, but after that, we would need to be able to move forward one way or the other just to be able to get it on the enrollment information, but it does make things tight for our tech team.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's good to hear. That's actually good to hear, Josh, because it's nothing earth shattering here, right? As much as it is just a little time to simply discuss and digest. So I don't see any problem as long as you're okay with us buying an extra meeting to do that. I don't see any problem with that whatsoever.
okay, then we have a motion and a second. Mrs. Henderson, will you please collect the vote? Unless there's any more discussion, sorry, I shouldn't be yelling. Sorry, any other thing? Okay, Ms. Henderson.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker. Yes. Mrs. Coleman Martinet. Yes. Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn.
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, up next, if everybody would please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and if you have a hat, please remove it. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And next, we like to read the mission and vision just to make sure that we remember why we're here. Our mission is to be a school district that engages students to learn, create, adapt, and succeed in an ever-changing world. And our vision is to maintain small town values and empower each student to achieve world-class success. Okay, we do have a public participation member, Susan Dunaway, if you'll please come forward. And just a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes. The board will not hear any personal complaints concerning any student, employee, or group of employees. That is all done in a closed session, so.
Thank you. All right, I thought it was 5, so I'm going to read off this and hope that it's 3. So good evening, my name is Susan Dunaway. I'm here to introduce the Screen Guardians program, a K-12 digital wellness program that recently piloted in 4 schools across Kansas and Texas. It's designed to be easy for teachers, engaging for students, and equipping for parents. Now, I want you to imagine that you have a new driver in your household. and you get them the safest car on the market. Then because the state cares about your new driver, a little less than you do, but still they care, they set restrictions on when and where they can drive. These safety measures and precautions are important, made to keep your new driver safe. But now imagine that that driver is in the safest car with the safest laws, and then we simply hand them the keys and wave goodbye. No driver's ed, no instructions on the rules of the road or how their decisions impact their safety. That would be borderline neglect, and it would certainly impede their ability to arrive safely at their destination. And I would argue that when it comes to students and their digital world, we are doing just that. Administrators, educators, and politicians work to give students safe products with safeguards around those products. There's certainly a lot of conversation about when and where tech might be best utilized for students. But even with all those rules and safeguards, students are still handed devices with almost no training to truly keep them safe. One superintendent familiar with our program says to not teach thorough digital wellness at this point is akin to educational malpractice. Students have the right to know what digital technologies do to their developing brains, to understand simple things like signs that they've been on too long, how to restore balance, how to protect their brain, eyes, and sleep, to understand persuasive design and algorithms. They need to understand that what they see in their digital bubble is not what somebody else sees, and the impact that can be polarizing. They need to be equipped with how to recover from a digital mistake, and they need to be given tools in the event that somebody else sets out to exploit them. So far, thorough digital wellness education has been absent, and we simply can't afford for it to be absent anymore. The Screen Guardians program is research-based, grounded in brain science, and developed by subject matter experts. It can be taught in as little as 30 minutes once a week for 14 weeks, easily can be lengthened if desired. The program includes embedded professional development and parent engagement tools. The result is a program where students, teachers, and parents speak the same language, and the conversations that start in your classrooms continue at the dinner table and out into the community. And that shared language is what changes outcomes and prepares students to thrive so they can all arrive at their destination safely. Our ask is to have conversations with decision makers in order to learn more about how the Screen Guardians program can bring this much needed information to your district. Again, I'm Susan Dunaway on behalf of Katie Longhauser and the Screen Guardians program. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out. Okay. Up next, the approval of the consent agenda. It includes approval of the minutes, the personnel, approve the notice of the budget hearing to amend the 25-26 budget, the Spring Hill High School debate and forensics trip, approve liability, property, and workers' compensation insurance renewal for 26-27 school year, approve the sick leave buyback, the master teacher renewal, the Spring Hill Elementary School book grant, the 26-27 varsity sports live agreement, renewal of the frontline education, the student acceptable use policy for 26-27, approval of contract with Lake Mary Center, and again, approval of contract with Lake Mary Center. This is two separate items. It's not a typo. 26-27 classified handbook, the personal electronic devices and social media policies, approval of invoice for audiology services, the elementary additions for HVAC pay apps for May, and approval of renewal of contract with Greenbush.
Before we step forward on that too, just a couple of comments, simply because I know we're trying to get more efficient with the consent agenda, which I'm all for, right? But it also kind of allows for breezing over some recognition here. And so I just want to give a shout out on the personnel report to Eric, Mr. Tyler, and his team, and specifically Rocky. He was at First Friday on Friday, actually handing out cards, soliciting paras and substitute teachers. And I thought that was exceptional. I also want to congratulate and wish the best of success to the debate and forensics team. We set a very high bar for that last year. I think we can all agree, and we wish them the best. And then I also want to personally thank First Option Bank for the grant in allowing us to resupply the birthday vending machine for books. That First Option is just a tremendous partner in the community, and I wanted to thank them personally for that.
I actually have one quick question. On the front line, is that core frontline or core frontline plus the HR component? Okay, so there's not another, that's all I wanted to know. Madam President, I move to approve the consent agenda and doubly approve Lake Mary as read.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other conversation or questions? Mrs. Henderson, please click the vote.
Mrs. Baker? Yes. Mrs. Coleman Martinet? Yes. Mr. Hull?
Yes.
Mr. Beecham?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood?
Yes.
Approved.
And up next, good news, recognitions and announcements.
Yes, we have Mr. Peavy here who will provide us with our good news for this meeting. We've got a couple, at least one, and then the second one that we were going to do is going to have to be pushed to July, but I think you'll enjoy what he has to share with good news this evening.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'm excited to be here and with our recognitions. And like Dr. Luttrell said, there are two groups on the agenda. One is just a little bit of a teaser because Kaylee is on vacation here for the next couple of weeks. So we're working to get her here and hopefully some other forensics kids here in July to celebrate some of the good things that they're doing. And it sounds like she's having a probably better time than we are at the meeting right now. It sounded like a pretty fun vacation. But we are very excited to have some representatives from our high school choir who had a very remarkable trip to Washington, D.C. recently. And they're here to share a little bit of their experience and answer a few questions. So, Rose, if you guys want to come on up.
I hope it includes a little a cappella, maybe?
Don't know if we have enough students for that one. So we got to participate during Memorial Day weekend at the National Memorial Day Choral Festival. We performed in the John F. Kennedy Center. The day before Memorial Day, we put on a huge performance that was led by Dr. Craig Jessup. And if you don't know who he is, he was actually one of the directors of the singing sergeants for the Air Force. And then he actually was a director and leader for the Tabernacle Choir, which is actually known to be America's Choir. This was his last ever performance. He wanted to finish off with America's 250th. And so it was an honor to kind of be under his direction for the last time. We were one of 6 choirs that got to participate. And one of the choirs that went was his choir because they were determined to be a part of his last experience. So that was pretty cool that we got to be beside those singers and learn from them as well. And then we were one of 3 high schools that went, and we took 22 students. The next morning, we then performed in front of the National Archives building on C-SPAN. It was broadcasted live. You can also find it on Freedom 250 on Facebook. Our whole performance, we performed the Battle Hymn of the Republic in front of the Archives building, and then we got to sit on the steps of the Archives building and watch the rest of the parade. But there was definitely more to this trip for sure. So I'm going to let you maybe ask the students questions and go from there.
I won't take up the music side. I'll take up because, I texted some people who are out there. What was the favorite part of being a tourist in our nation's capital? What really impacted you?
I think the part that I liked most was just learning more about history than I already knew from learning in school, actually visiting and seeing names that were on the memorials, learning more about where they were buried and some more meaning behind it. And my favorite part was just performing in the John F. Kennedy Center.
Awesome. Anybody else?
I would say my favorite part would be kind of going around and exploring all these different places that before I only knew from television or just social media, and then actually seeing them in person. It was a brand new experience for me.
A lot bigger in person, aren't they?
I actually really loved seeing all the architecture and statues. There's a lot of them. And it was really it was like sightseeing 24/7, which was really very insightful. And I really loved it, the whole experience.
That's awesome. Thank you.
We also did get to attend the Arlington Cemetery changing of the guard ceremony. So that was really unique. And I think too, if you ever get to experience John F. Kennedy's gravesite and just like watching the fire around it and just how they've landscaped that and all every part of it was pretty transformative, I think, for all of us going through that cemetery. So
I'm jealous. I'm so jealous. That's great. Thank you.
My name is Zoe Tarvin. I'm going to be a senior at Spring Hill High School.
I'm Logan Schaefer, and I'm going to be a senior also next year.
I'm Amelie Jones, and I will also be a senior.
Well, there's no other questions yet. We can take a picture real quick. Make you guys Facebook official again. I know we had one earlier. You guys might have in the middle. I usually try to center it more than the district of those. So yes, it's just a little. Perfect. Fantastic. Thanks for coming. And we to represent. We to represent Spring Hill. Most of that. Take a bunch. Great job, everybody. Thank you, and thank you for representing. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, what an honor. What a
Okay, moving to Spring Hill Education Association and USD 230 negotiated agreement for 26-27.
Yes, I believe that we've got several people that are going to kind of walk us through this and kind of give us some highlights as to the negotiated agreement that was hammered out on May 20th with the efforts of a collective effort from not only the school district, but also representatives with Liz and her individuals from the Spring Hill Education Association. We also had members of the Board of Education, President Horn, as well as Mr. Chitwood that gave up that evening, along with Dr. Robinson, Mr. Holder, Mr. Williams, Dr. Smith, and a host of individuals to come together to try to see what we could do to make sure that we put together and could agree upon a great negotiated agreement involving salary and work environment for our staff. As we've given you the last couple of weeks, first and foremost, I do believe that the agreement that's being presented is definitely one that is has been met with a degree of very positive overall reaction from our staff. When you look at, for those that cast a vote one way or the other as to they felt it was worth accepting or not, the votes that they received, the last count I had received was it was 201 individuals that were members of the negotiated agreement unit in favor of the agreement, and there was one that was in non-agreement. So I think that in itself speaks a lot to it. Overall, on this agreement, it's salary-wise, it boils down to a 3.6% agreement increase to our certificated salary schedule. Now, the way that works is that would include basically the average for a person that would get a step or experience, as well as any movement, any money that we added to the base salary, which is, step one, no experience. And then we also at certain points added $50 steps. And then that does not take into account anyone that's going to move columns, over horizontally because they complete graduate credits. It does not include Part of this agreement includes the supplemental. The association spent a lot of time the last year working on redesigning the supplemental pay schedule, which is all of our extra duties for a lot of our coaching and sponsorships. So there will be overall, some individuals get higher than the 3.6, but more than not, most all will receive at least 3.6%. There were some other items in there that were more working conditions. And the way I want to attack this right now is I thought I would first and foremost, I'm gonna let Dr. Robinson, if he has anything, or Mr. Holder wants to add on the financial end or the working part. And then would like to ask President Horn and Mr. Chitwood to offer their perspective. And then we can decide in that direction where to go. My recommendation this evening is that the board would accept the proposal that's within the negotiated agreement with the conditions. And then we can later then determine what we want to do with the classified and the other employee groups. But Dr. Robinson, Mr. Holder, I'll let Dr. Robinson go first, and anything you want to add, and then we'll let Mr. Holder, and then we'll bring it back up to our board reps and open it up for any questions.
No, I'll keep my remarks brief. I would, as Dr. Luttrell did, extend a big thank you to the leadership of the Spring Hill Education Association. I don't think we realize sometimes how lucky we are with the relationship we have between the district and the association, and to be able to walk away with, I think, a good agreement for the district and for teachers in one night of negotiating is kind of unheard of. So I would highlight a couple things. Most of them are things that I think are probably positive for our teaching staff. One of the additions to the agreement was adding 2 teacher readiness days. This year we put one at the very beginning of the year and one at the middle of the year to try to give our teachers an opportunity to catch up. These will be days that they can use for their own planning, write IEPs, do grading, whatever they feel like is necessary. But that will be a pretty significant change to our calendar. The other thing that continued to happen, last negotiated agreement, we moved to discretionary leave. And this agreement takes that even further, kind of changing what the banks look like in Skyward, changing a little bit of the compensation, but again, giving our staff more flexibility in how they use the days that are allotted to them. We did some cleanup wording on things like our grievance procedures. It's nice when those get outdated because they haven't been something we've had to use very often. So I appreciate the association bringing those forward and helping us get them back up to date. A lot of that was aligning them to our current complaint procedures. And then again, just some things to address some issues that have come up over the course of the year and how we're paying teachers for subs and compensating them for extracurricular activities. So I think overall, it's a positive agreement for both the district and for teachers.
Mr. Holder, anything you want to add?
I'll just highlight a couple of things that Dr. Luttrell mentioned in addition to the overall salary schedule, which did add $900 to the base, but also added $50 to each step where there was an increase in step. And so the practical impact of that is further down the schedule, teachers with more experience will add to that over the course of time. And so it's really a balance. We want to stay competitive with the base salary in terms of our area school districts, which we are, but also looking to strengthen the bottom of the schedule to make sure that we are keeping experienced teachers here in Spring Hill. And so, this is not the solution to that, but this year is at least a positive step in that direction. And again, 2 things Dr. Luttrell mentioned that did have an impact this year. The supplemental increase, which is, I think, by and large, a positive for our school district. It does not impact everyone, but those that take a supplemental assignment, looking to be more competitive in that arena. And then one of the statistics that I gave that night was that we have 75 teachers who have notified us that they should move horizontally on the salary schedule. If you look at our schedule, particularly between bachelor's 24 and master's, and then that last step towards master's 60, those are pretty significant dollars when you're making that movement. And so we had 75 individuals this year compared to 51 last year. So it's positive, but obviously, of course, that has an impact on the overall package as well.
Okay, and then I'll let, if either one of our members that were there that night would like to give their thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Dr. Robinson said. I think we're the beneficiary of years of good negotiations and working together. That shows in previous years where current year funding dollars got moved forward. So we had those, we put those in the salary schedule. This year, we looked and hit where the salary schedule demand was needed. Also, I think the Board of Education, we really represented very seriously that we share the teachers' focus on students and having a workplace that teachers want to come to and works with them and provides appropriate staffing and just a great place to be. So I could not have been more pleased with how the conversations went. And I fully endorse moving this agreement forward.
Yeah, I'll just add, I don't know how many of you have ever had to walk in front of your boss and ask for something, even a day off that's your own, right? It's extremely hard. You get nervous. The 5 staff members who came up and did that on behalf of the other teachers did a phenomenal job. They led with some strength and grace, and they really did a good job of advocating for the teachers and the other staff members who weren't in the room with them. And then on the flip side, the admins who were at the table, here they had 5 staff members that are highly respected and that they really do care about, and they had to at times figure out how to make something work. And I really appreciated just the flip in terms, is it wasn't a no, it was how do we make it work? How can we find the middle ground here? How do we do it? And that's extraordinarily hard to do when you're looking at 5 people that you really, really respect and you would like to potentially give a lot more to. So I just really appreciated the conversations and the overall approach and negotiations from both sides. I think it was super positive, and I think we did come out with a good outcome, even though there are definitely some things I look forward to continuing to build on in future years. I think we laid some good groundwork.
Liz, would you like to say anything? Liz is the president of the Spring Hill Education Association, and she also plays a pivotal role in making sure that our discussions remain positive and are always looking at the big picture. And I will say that I've worked with many leaders of education associations through the years, and the 2 that I have had the privilege of working with here in USD Spring Hill, with not only Liz but her predecessor, have, as Josh said, have been very, very good individuals to work with. It's always positive. So Liz, anything you'd like to add?
What I would like to add is that I appreciate the collaboration. We can't do this unless we work together. And that's very apparent. I know that over the years I've been on this board for 20 some years, and we have really worked at building trust and collaboration. And I think that we have continued to do that and will always do that as well as anybody. Working with other NEA people, they're still negotiating. They're still working hard, but they don't have that collaboration. They don't have what we have built, and I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate the fact that you do always want to do the best you can for the teachers. We understand the pot's only so big. You can do only so much. But again, we always come to the table, what can we do? And we'll continue to build on that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I just weigh in here? Because, I think for the most part, with the exception of Dr. Luttrell and 2 ladies on the end there, I mean, we're outsiders, right? We're outsiders, and we're a little bit privileged in the fact that we get to peek in more than most on exactly what goes into this type of symbiotic relationship. And I know a lot of times it's misconstrued in the public that it's, it's us versus them and we got to get what we can get. But it's really encouraging sitting here to hear Mr. Holder speak to about the number of teachers that are making their way up the ladder and jumping the pay scale. I don't want to take anything away from Mr. Tyler's presentation later, but teacher retention, that speaks volumes to this collaborative relationship that we have with our teachers. And then just firsthand, as a volunteer in our schools, I spend a lot of time volunteering in our schools, and I've seen it firsthand, and I've spoken to a lot of teachers that have just raved about the fact now that they are being properly recognized monetarily for all the extra coverage that they provide as a emergency substitute, if you will, in picking up a half a class, a half a day, and all of those different moving pieces and parts that go into it, just your normal school day. So I really commend not only the administration, but my cohorts on the board as well. And then, of course, our staff. I can't say enough about our teaching staff. So nice work.
Okay, anything else on that? Okay, we'll move on to 8.02 student handbook additions, personal electronic devices, and leaving the building. Dr. Smith.
I can tell you're really excited about this one. So on May 11th, when we last met, we were able to discuss the majority of the handbook proposed changes for next school year. But the two really exciting new ones we were holding on in order to get policy set and make sure that we were consistent with new legislation. So for the high school and the middle school, there would be a change around leaving the building. So one of the pieces of legislation that was passed this session was Senate Bill 315, which addressed student walkouts. So the leaving the building section of your secondary handbooks now includes some language that's consistent with that legislation around having prior written permission from a parent or guardian if there is an absence based on a student organized event, or as our seniors sometimes like to call them, skip days, that are not school sponsored activities. So if you are leaving the building for that purpose, you would have to have a prior written permission from a parent or guardian, and then follow all of our normal procedures for getting an excused absence. The rest of the language is consistent with what we've done previously in years past with penalties for those unexcused absences. So this again is really language updates to reflect what was included in Senate Bill 315. The other really exciting handbook addition. Oh, sorry. Do you want to talk about this one first?
I do real quick, Dr. Smith, and it's maybe splitting hairs, but in the second paragraph, when you're talking about the district does not recognize skip days, right? You do insert the word prior, and I would only argue that the first paragraph up top, it should also be reinforced that for any type of leaving the building excuse, it should be received by the administration, the school office prior to leaving. Leave the campus during the school day, right? Obtaining prior notice, prior permission, prior notice, just inserting the word prior so that we clearly identify that it's not after the fact.
It does say before missing a class or leaving campus. Permission from a parent or from the office before, yeah. So do you want that kind of called out more? Is that what you mean?
I just want more emphasis on the word prior.
Prior. So
It's
rather than
almost
before,
a legal
prior.
part more than anything else. Yeah.
Okay. So just a little wordsmithing to that to
Just a
make that
wordsmith.
consistent.
Just to make sure that it's clear.
Okay.
You just changed the word before to prior to missing a class. or
Yeah.
leaving.
I had a logistical question, especially at the secondary, which is, do we do any blackout of call-in, which is you can't call out your student within the last 15 minutes or anything like that. They can call up to, okay. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't doing any blackouts in any building of we don't accept call outs. Okay.
Okay. Anything else? All right, let's get on to the real exciting change. I'm gonna move on down. This electronic device procedures would be some revisions to existing handbooks, again, to reflect legislation. So we now know that no personal electronic devices are permitted into the school during our instructional day per House Bill 2421. So the new language within the handbooks, again, is meant to reflect the legislation and our newly adopted board policy changes. So this really sounds a lot like the legislation itself, particularly in that top paragraph. Prohibited from using the personal electronic devices during the day, with a list of progressive discipline for violating that handbook procedure. And then addressing some examples of what electronic devices would include. Not an exhaustive list, but these would be the ones most commonly brought into schools by our students. And then also just making sure that parents and guardians are aware that because their student would not necessarily have a watch or a cell phone with them, they of course can still contact their student by using our main office telephone and getting in touch with their student that way. So, and I know Mr. Williams did present some potential storage options, which it didn't sound like there was a lot of desire to purchase anything. So we're not recommending a large-scale purchase of any type of storage option, but our schools can work with individual families that would like their student to perhaps check in their electronic devices at the beginning of the day and have those securely stored in the office. There is a relatively inexpensive, I believe about $100, a storage device where for students it would benefit them to check it in with the main office at the beginning of the day and then collect that at the end of the day. That's an option that parents can work with their building administration on.
Is that also where like the building administrators would put a phone if they confiscate it?
Correct. So if you were in violation of that policy, this is where they would store that until the parent came to collect the device.
Yeah.
On the consequence piece, is that an escalation throughout the entire school year? Does it reset at semester? What's the thought there?
School year. So this is probably a bridge for some who would have loved to have seen this be more aggressive and some who would have liked it to have been more relaxed. This is our attempt to recognize that this is a change for our students and our families, but we do recognize that it is a law now. So our goal in this progressive discipline is to take an approach that recognizes we probably have some differing opinions, but there is a seriousness to making sure that we follow the law.
Yeah, the comment I have on it is, my opinion is the first offense, we should be notifying a parent or guardian. That's just kind of, my opinion is that it's a partnership thing, which is, hey, had this problem, right? It's not co-parenting, but being communicative early and often, I think would benefit us. So when the second offense happens, it's not a surprise, and I think parents may receive the consequence better for their student.
Would everybody like to see that added?
Yeah, I was actually going to say that too. So I understand that you're trying to find a balance, and I think probably the reason why it's going to be so hard is because our previous policy wasn't very strict. We were kind of one of the more lax ones in Johnson County. So I feel like in order for it to be effective, it's going to have to be a little bit stiffer consequences, because I feel like this isn't going to be effective enough to really let kids know that you can't have a phone. And so I feel like in order to help our staff be consistent with it, we definitely need to let parents know on the first offense, whether that's having them come pick it up on the first offense. So maybe just scratching the first offense completely and moving the second offense to the first offense, where parents are definitely notified. Then you're getting the families involved, and they can have that conversation with their student that it's not acceptable. And then if that's moving to the first offense, then the second offense would have to be a little bit more, and I don't even know if we need a third and fourth offense if we do it right the first and second time. I mean, how would you guys feel about having it be either ISS or the student is sent home after the second offense? Like we need to make sure these kids know that we're not gonna allow the phones in the schools. And I feel like if the consequence hurts, then they're gonna get the picture right away, and that will help the staff be able to, nip it right at the beginning of the school year. So
It's interesting you say that, Anna, because my wife's family comes from a multi-generational education, and my mother-in-law is with us right now. And I was talking to her specifically about this. And I asked her point blank, what, and you said it, Steve, consequence, right? It really is the consequence that is going to do the most work for us here. And I do like the idea of getting the parents involved sooner rather than later, because I would rather take that responsibility off of our teaching staff and put it on the parents where it really belongs, right? But I asked her, what do you think would have the better outcome? 4-hour detention on Saturday morning or ISS for an entire day as a punishment? And she said ISS. There are kids out there that actually look forward to ISS because it gets them out of the mix. It gets them someplace where it's quiet. I said, okay, what about out of school? Oh, well, now you're talking exactly what they want. The ability to not have to go to school so they can play their video games all day. And so I'm kind of, I've said it all along, and it goes back to the panel that I sat in on at the KASB conference in the Beloit School District with the 4-hour detention. And I get it, and so really, I can't imagine any family or student having a good time with having to report at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning for 4 hours at one location, all schools funnel into that, all offenders for that week for that week. And, when we were talking about cost of enforcement here, maybe we pay one of our staff, pay one of our staff the going rate for a day of substituting to cover that 4 hours on a Saturday. Because in talking to the Beloit School District, in 2.5 years of doing it exactly that way, only had 2 students that actually made it to that third level of punishment and to the detention. So it's I forget what the word is, but I mean it's the deterrent that we're after here, right? The compliance, the deterrent, by making the consequences the deterrent.
I would worry by adding parental notification to the first offense, you start to create a trail of conversation that a parent might claim, well, I was never notified. So the second time it happens, they're back to the first offense, and you're kind of creating a problem that you didn't necessarily need to create. So my question for you, and I think everybody understands that I wasn't in favor of this legislation to begin with, but I did want to go after a little bit stricter policy right here. Is this strict enough to keep us in compliance with the law?
The law doesn't provide for specific disciplinary action other than, we can provide disciplinary action. So I don't see us being out of compliance with the law by having this series of consequences in place. So we should be fine with that. Unless somebody wants to chime in.
The only thing I was going to add is feedback from both the superintendent's advisory and from building principals building principals probably more than anything with and I understand we haven't been enforcing for lunch and passing periods, and that'll be new and different. We haven't had a student go past this, like if you keep this past the second offense. So the partnership we have with parents is probably even more important. I also worry a little bit about consequences that go to loss of instructional time. Like I understand where you're going within school suspension and out of school suspension. But they're getting back to that balance piece. How do you, yes, we want to keep these out of our classrooms, but there's also the piece that we want to keep kids in the classrooms. And so that there may need to be a balance there as we adjust the handbook. That would just be my 2 cents.
My question, am I good? Okay, my question is that for, as has been suggested for the parents being notified on that first offense, I would almost be on the edge of not doing that because who's going to make that call? Like who in the office is going to have to make that call? And if you have X, Y, and Z parents, say 10 or so, well, then that's 10 calls that person's going to have to make. Is there a way to go in the middle by like having like a half sheet of paper or something like that that goes home with the student saying that they did it? Granted, students can toss it out, whatever, but I just think that parents being notified, yes, but at the same time, we need to remember who has to make that call and how many calls do they have a day, and what is that added to their plate. I also would piggyback off that and want to know exactly right now how many are getting in trouble with their cell phone and what degree does it go past, because I feel like we don't give our children sometimes the benefit of the doubt. Like I don't think that children wake up and are like, I'm going to use my phone against rules. So I think there's a median that we need to address. And so I would prefer to see how far students actually go with this and the data that's like, okay, this is where we need to have that policy here and here. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I actually, so I would agree on the first offense, adding parent notification, because I do think, I don't want anybody to get blindsided. And I guarantee if I know about it, I'm going to be having some conversations with my students before any staff has to deal with it. And so I like that. And I think that'll help get some of them not to a second offense. The problem I have with what you had suggested is for some of these kids, it's going to be habit. Like we're going to actually have to break the habit. And for some of the moms, and I'll go ahead and throw myself under that bus, we're going to have to break the habit of reaching out to our students. And I think for this first year, I don't necessarily agree going straight to having the parents come in, going into ISS, OSS, or a Saturday detention without some warning shots, just to help break the habit of reaching for the phone, of texting our students. Because a lot of us are going to have to change the behavior. So I do really appreciate adding parent notification to the first offense. I like what you guys have laid out. I think it's a good first year. Let's help break some habits without creating some hostile environments. And then what I would ask is maybe we go a couple months, I don't know, a quarter or a semester, and then we go back and ask our building admin teams, how's it going? What's it looking like? And then if we need to adjust, we adjust.
That was going to be the thing that I was going to do, which is, whatever we move forward with, presuming the board wants to let me work on negotiations again, I don't want to be sitting across and being like, hey, you've got to do something to fix this cell phone thing. It totally doesn't work, right? This is while I know we don't like to change policy mid-year, I absolutely echo that sentiment that this is a first stab. And if we get 4, 6, whatever it is into school, and the feedback that you're getting is, oh my goodness, something has to change, I would, whatever version we put out, I would love to have it back because, maybe the 4 days better than the out of school. And I don't know what the right thing is, but what I do know is if we make it onerous on staff and we make it inconsistent on students, we will fail with what we're trying to achieve here, which is some other school districts make a behavior. We're going to make a behavior by locking this phone away and not giving students the opportunity to grow and learn the habit of putting the phone away, right? We could fix running in the halls if we just shackled students. That's a terrible solution, just like not empowering students. Yeah.
Hold on.
Right. But you get where I'm going, which is we want to empower these kids to learn the skill, right? And I think the more cooperatively that we approach this with staff and the board and the district, the better off we're going to be.
Well, and let me just add too, because it actually forced me to go through all of the handbooks, right? And read all of it from cover to cover. And this is just a suggestion or up for consideration as part of the chain of consequence is like we do with attendance for those that are in activities, extracurricular activities in sports. At some point, there is a levy to pay on missed opportunity for either a practice or an event or a sport or a game, something like that related to habitual severity. It's just a suggestion.
So one thing, John, you said about we don't want to have so much pressure on staff. So I think it is going to be hard right at the beginning if we were more strict, but I think it will be easier in the long run. Because if we are more consistent up front, and yeah, we might have a lot of calls the first couple weeks of school, but then if we do that and the consequence is harsh right at the beginning, I think the rest of the year will be easy. I think if it's too lax, like it's laid out here, we're going to be dealing with it year round. And it's not going to get any better. Kids are going to be pushing the envelope. And so I feel like if we do it a little bit stiffer right at the beginning and we really, make the consequence hurt a little bit, the kids are going to be okay. The parents are going to figure it out. And it's going to make the rest of the school year a whole heck of a lot easier because we're not going to be dealing with the cell phones anymore. It's going to be, a one and done, and we'll be moving on and it won't be an issue. I truly feel like if we're going through this 1, 2, 3, 4, lackadaisical consequences, the kids are just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and the teachers are going to get fed up with it. And I believe we can lose our accreditation if we aren't in compliance. So that's my concern. I think we need to make it a little bit tougher. Just so that the precedent is set at the beginning of the school year, and then we can move on, and it's hopefully not as big of an issue the rest of the year.
Well, and kind of to that point, and I was going to bring it up next year when it comes back, which is having this being a rolling mulligan is maybe not the best way to approach being consistent. I understand with this first year and what I mean by rolling mulligan, the first offense thing. It's once the standard's the standard, the need for a mulligan kind of goes away in my book, but kind of to your point, halfway to your point.
My last question that I have is there a process in place that parents or students, like, you point them to this, or are they just handed the handbook and then they take it home with the rest of their first day stuff? Like, how is the process of the parent seeing the handbook and almost even going to the page and being like, you're signing this, showing that you will understand these prior to then, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, yeah. So our handbooks are part of the enrollment process. So parents do sign off that they have read the handbooks. Now, I recognize as a parent myself, I will be the first to admit, similarly to President Horn, have I always read my student's handbook cover to cover before signing that? Maybe not. So one of the things we've had as an internal discussion is making sure, particularly in this first year, yes, it will be included in the handbook, and yes, you will continue to sign off on it as you would normally, but also having a standalone page in the enrollment process that notes specifically that the policy now exists, that it is legislation, that is a change. So calling that out separately. And then also just a quick shout out to our comms department. I think Mr. Peavy has already left, but they have been working on an FAQ page for our website to make sure that parents have a place, kind of a one-stop shop that can go to with questions regarding the new legislation. I also expect our building principals and our teachers to point this out during back to school nights and make sure that we stay in communication with parents and families as we get closer to August, because it is new, it's a change. And although we've always had this handbook available in the enrollment process in Skyward, I think calling it out in other ways and drawing attention to it is going to be important for families and making sure that they know and understand the changes.
Okay.
I follow several of the local schools and I've started seeing posts coming out with the new policy changes. These four are pretty in line with one of the other schools I saw. So the comms teams definitely seem to be jumping on it. So how do we've thrown out a lot of ends of the spectrum. How do we get to a bit of a consensus to give Dr. Smith some ways to move forward?
So if I could go back to my previous question there, as you pointed out, the key point that we have to do is make sure we're in compliance with the law, right? Without there being a mandate on a disciplinary policy, this actually came out quite a bit stricter than I was expecting. Now, if this is the recommendation from those of you that are in the halls working with students every day, I'm ready to support it as is, but I couldn't imagine supporting anything stricter than this.
With the parent notification on one or?
No,
As written?
no changes as written.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it needs to be stricter. So I don't know how we come to an agreement or, bring this back. This is exactly why it needed to be moved to a different night, I think, to approve it, because I think there needs to be some more conversations around it. And I don't think we've got a working policy right now.
Yeah, my thing is, I think it's a good idea to add the parent one. I can support this as written as long as it comes back before it boils over, because that's my real concern. This boiling over between staff and parents and everybody, and it being a whole big thing. And this is where I get to. This is one of those policies that we may have to change mid-year, is my position.
I 100% agree.
So
I think this is one that we're going to have to monitor.
yeah,
It's a handbook. It's a living document. Yeah, it's not ideal to change mid-year, but it's a living document.
it is, but we generally treat changing policy mid-year as completely verboten and unacceptable. And I don't, between all the spectrum of where we are, I don't know the right balance, right? And I don't know the right balance for teachers, and I don't know the right balance for, principals, parents, students. I don't know.
Well, one thing I will say about a handbook, because I know we've referred to it as policy, but the handbook is very much procedural. So you have your board policies in place to ensure that we're in compliance with the law. And then the handbook is meant to take those policies and put some procedure to it. So if we were to monitor this going into next year and we realize that there is a need to make a change because procedurally it isn't working well for our staff, our students, or our families, then we're talking about adjusting procedure. We don't necessarily have to go back and change policy.
Right. So I guess that would be my ask, is just that we get a touch point on this. I don't want to get a slew of emails in May of next year from teachers saying the cell phone policy is driving me crazy. I'm out. So I just want to make sure that we're monitoring that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I gotta think that the stricter policy would be easier for the teachers because it's out of their hands and they're not dealing with it.
But it's not really, puts it on their conscience too a bit, because they have to take the phone and start the ball rolling.
And to Dr. Robinson's time, then you start talking about taking away from learning time.
Well, I want to back up.
That's a bigger discussion.
I want to just back up one step because something just occurred to my brain. So I dropped little Reese off at school, and Reese is going to hop out of the truck and he's going to pull his phone out of his pocket and he's going to start messing with it and walking into the building. I think my question is on the policy as written, Schrodinger's cat was my approach the last time. Well, if Reese is walking into the building with it in his hands, that's an item of confiscation at that moment. It doesn't matter that it's a bell-to-bell thing, but we know at that point it's there and not secured, right? So this gets back to communicating with parents and kids and what the expectation is. And I don't think we've had that portion of the conversation, and I'm not necessarily trying to promote that part of the conversation, but kind of to Anna's point, the moment that the enforcement starts and it's consistent, that's where we're at. And my approach to this is I am not asking teachers or staff to be oblivious to a fact that an unsecured phone is in our schools. I want to make clear that that's my position, right?
And I'll just add, I'm okay with this as our first stab, Dr. Smith, as long as the parent is involved from the very first offense. If you don't involve the parent from the very first offense, then you're not addressing the issue of terms of use, accepting terms of use, having not read it. You basically strip them of the defense that I wasn't aware of it. Yes, this is the first time, no big deal. Johnny gets to pick it up on his way out of school. We're just letting you know. Next time, you're going to have to come in and get it.
That's right.
And so every opportunity that you can to throw that obligation and that
Parent.
responsibility on the parent is a missed opportunity. So I'm okay with the way it is as long as the parent is notified on that first offense. See where it goes.
Yeah, I agree. And if I can make one final plea to any parent, students, I know we have a few here, so we're kind of eyeballing you ladies, but please just work with us and put away your phones, and please work with us and don't text your teenagers. It's going to be hard. It's going to be weird. We're just going to have to get through it together. So that's my plea. If you guys take this forward and nothing else sticks, just please put your phones up. Just do us a favor.
Put it on airplane mode.
It's going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard for me. It's going to be hard for your moms. Trust me. Just do it. Okay. Was this good? Are we good?
Yeah, those are the two additions, and I really do appreciate the healthy discussion around how to make this new legislation best fit for our families, for our staff. It is uncharted territory, so I appreciate having some conversation and trying to be as thoughtful as we can as we approach some new procedures in the handbook.
That's right. And please just keep us in the loop. Keep talking to us as teachers and staff are getting more warm and fuzzy with this. Let's keep the dialogue going. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Smith. Okay. Are we good? Yeah, we're so good. Moving up to 8.03, 2728 District Academic Calendar.
Yes, good evening. Once again, this evening, I'm bringing back to you the 2728 calendar that I presented to you guys in May, understanding that we had a rather lengthy discussion about conferences in the spring from moving from March to February. Yes, our data was pretty minuscule by the parents and probably not accurate on anything that we can really move forward with. I felt like the teachers had a pretty strong voice on where they preferenced this. What we'd like to do is we've already begun the discussion internally about how to increase our parent attendance at parent-teacher conferences, particularly in the secondary level. And then also look at and bring some more data to you in March, April. And if we need to make another adjustment towards the 27-28 calendar, we can do that if the data calls for that. But I am here to answer any questions that you might have about the 27-28 calendar.
Did we look at addressing Anna's thing that she had mentioned last time about having sixth grade having their first day be their only day?
I think it's up to the school board. If the school board votes for something like that, then yes, we could do. I believe so. If the school.
I thought Aaron and Kristen really liked that idea.
They did, right.
I was kind of
Yes.
expecting to see that on here as a suggestion.
Do we have to like vote on it
We
or?
could add that to the calendar and make sure that goes across that way. Yes.
Okay.
To make that a sixth grade. Yes.
And another thing for your consideration is the half day on the first day and a half day on the last day of school, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's just
I
something.
know that's got a tremendous amount of support on both sides.
Correct. Make sure I have support from Dr. Luttrell and the school board, and we can make sure we're good with days and do that.
That's going to start chipping away at hours too,
Correct.
which we probably
Correct.
can't put you on the spot and make
Yeah,
a
I'm not
change.
saying it's.
I know.
Easy or decidable.
How many
Just
snow days are built in?
Okay, so, and I'm just going to say, currently there's 9 snow days built in. By adding the teacher readiness days, we are now down to 8 snow days. So you have 8 snow days because the PD days counts as half of a student contact day. And so that's why we're down to 8 snow days built in within the calendar.
So
And then if
we
you
did,
take, then if you take the half day, make one day a half day at the
Beginning of the year, in the year.
does that, so then we're down to 7,
7 snow days, yep.
which I still think is a sufficient amount of snow days.
How many?
2 years ago.
No,
Right,
yeah, I was
right.
like, how many did we use that day?
8, but one of
We were
them.
the only district to not add days, as I recall.
Right.
True.
Snow day, 3 days out from the forecast. That's what we-
Right.
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's
Yes.
So can we put that, and correct me too, ninth grade gets their own day, right?
They do. The very first day of school on the first day with students would be that 16th. That would be freshmen only at the high school. So you can make that sixth grade only at the middle school also too.
Perfect.
With all grades on the 17th.
However, we need to add that, that would be wonderful.
Sure. We could add the wording to that.
Thank you.
So we'll add the sixth grade day, but we'll hold off on the half days at the start and end until next year? Is that where you're?
I don't have much to do with next year's calendar. I mean, if you guys are wanting to do that for the 26, 27 calendar.
No, I mean 27, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
So sorry. My brain just went 2 years in advance.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Yes.
27, 28. Yes.
Yeah.
We could do the half days at the beginning. It will knock us down to seven snow days.
Well, it really depends on how Mahone looks like coming out of his rehab, whether that's going to be enough days or not.
Knock us down to 6 snow days.
Well, and I bring it up jokingly, which is to say, okay, we can decrement down and have fewer snow days, but that doesn't give us the flexibility that we maybe want to have when it comes to I don't know the right term to get it, which is everybody's calling in to use a personal day, whether we want it or not, events. And,
Yeah.
We had to have several of those in a row. Just awareness there.
Yeah. Very much.
You had to go ahead.
Can we make the sixth grade thing like its own separate one so that way we can approve that and then the other half day conversation happen? Just so it's not all into one by perchance. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Like,
one vote?
yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, that's fine. Mr. Peavy, who has my calendar, is not here right now to adjust the wording on this thing, so I apologize with that. So, but I could easily include this on a Friday update for you guys to look at. To
Yeah.
make sure everything's.
Yeah.
On the half days, I'd be a little confused how that works with having a new dedicated sixth grade day, which I like. I'm good with
Yeah.
that. But is that you have a sixth grade day and then everybody comes back for a half day, so they have a full
No,
day,
every,
half day, a
that,
full
that
day?
first day, that 16th.
Or is it-
look at
so
if
it's-
you have K through five, sixth grade and ninth grade, that day would get concluded. That would be a half day.
So
I understand.
it's really just a half day for K through six then
And ninth and freshman.
in ninth.
And the freshmen,
Correct.
yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, and then everyone else that starts the next day, that's a full
Would be
day.
a full day of school.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. That makes sense. I like
Yeah.
that.
And then the
Oh.
last day of school,
Well, then the last day too with final schedules, could
You're-
that make final scheduling a little challenging, not
Not
having
at
the
all.
last afternoon?
not at all.
So they're all in the
Okay.
morning.
You're
Okay,
good.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I do want to, I'll even use the word pick on, which is, I think a comment you made was we can come back and change this later. I think that's what I heard, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to elaborate what you meant.
What I'm
Before I-
talking about is the parent-teacher conferences. If we're right now, we're recommending moving to February.
Okay,
And we want to bring back more data to you. And I've been talking to Kristen's more accurate attendance data for parent-teacher conference and everything else. We'll revisit that anyways. We can bring back data to you no matter what about how parent-teacher conferences attendance have gone. But if for some reason it really skews that March is the best time for it, then I would recommend at that time, let's keep it a March. But right now, the little bit of information I have is the recommendation to move it back to February.
so, and that's all great,
Yep.
and I'm all good with that. How do we convey that to the universe so we're not having the conversation of, oh, you put it on the calendar, I booked my dream cruise on there because you published it on the calendar, right? How do we effectively communicate that to the world that this portion of the calendar is tentative and it will be announced at when is the deadline of when we're going to make that final decision? How do we communicate that to the world so
That's a
we
good
keep the
point.
optionality?
No,
I love it.
and that's a good point. And obviously, conferences next year are scheduled right before spring break.
Yes.
So we won't have data to you till the conclusion of spring break. Depending on what board calendar you guys vote on, it looks like it could be the April meeting that we can bring that information to you, if that makes sense. Because that would be your next available Board of Education meeting.
Yeah.
Would be that meeting in April.
So to me, I think the best path forward is actually omitting that schedule from this calendar and then putting it on the board work calendar for, I don't know, April of next year to add the parent-teacher conference, the spring parent-teacher conference for 27-28. I think that's the cleanest way to do this, instead of, oh, no, just kidding. Because if not, we're going to be sitting right back here having the argument of, oh, well, you put it out there and you said it, so no take backsies, even though Mr. Williams said it.
Yes.
Are we okay with publishing a calendar without spring conferences and just indicating on there that will be determined in April of 27?
Yeah, I would recommend just putting it, just like we have all the notes down at the bottom, I would just have a note that says, at the April whatever meeting, a determination will be made, and it'll be either this date, or another date based on best data available. I really have a problem putting it on the calendar. It's especially considering the initial information is it may be so motivating that we really should be looking at next year's calendar. I know that ship has sailed, I concede, but please don't make the same problem for the next year calendar.
Okay.
I'm thinking that one. I just think it sets people up for more confusion. Because everybody's gonna look at that calendar and go, well, where's parent-teacher conferences?
But we're saying they're subject to change. And if we're saying they're subject to change, I just,
What
putting
we-
it on date certain I think is more confusing to people.
What would be enough to make us move it? If we go back to February, if the staff were telling us February was the way to go, that March, the gains we hoped to see in March weren't there, right? We didn't get all the test results. It felt like a long break. All the things we hoped to gain, we didn't. I mean, is it some explosive attendance that makes us move it back to March?
I don't know, maybe a 200% decrease in parent participation.
Can we just take a vote? Is that possible? That you just take a vote on it? That you either have it in March or February? Or is that too just like cut and dry?
I've talked to a lot of parents about this specific issue, right? Going back to what we experienced this last school year. And everybody that I talked to is in favor of going back to the way we did it, February, March. And I'm sorry, but most of them framed it as 2 spring breaks. I get 2 spring breaks that way, month to month. It is what it is. And so I think the attrition you're going to get in February and March is probably a carryover, no matter what. Maybe you pick up just a little more in March because it's just a longer period, but I don't think it's enough to move the needle off of standing our ground on the way we've done it.
Right.
Well, and another thing that I mentioned last time, I think, is, you know, this is the middle of winter. There's a lot of sickness going around in February, and it's a good time to take a little break and like do a deep clean and like give everyone a couple days to just
rest and get
over the flu, and then we come back and regroup. So I don't know. I'm all for moving it back to February.
Same.
I'm fine with moving it back to February. It's the uncertainty. Yeah.
Yeah, because we did have a crazy calm winter, and that is unlike the year before proved us wrong. So we have a false sense of security, but I think we go with staff and we keep what they're telling us and we stick with February.
I mean, I think it goes in line too with your potential snow days, because those are 2 days. I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to make a decision,
I agree.
not leave it off the calendar for somebody to ask about.
So however we need to do to make a vote.
It's on the action item.
Okay.
But as is, without any notes on.
What we can notice by making that first day of school on the 16th, 6th grade, if we want to add that too.
It's the half day.
It's the half day on the first and last day, and the first day for 6th grade only. So K through 6.
Yes.
And then 9th grade.
Yeah.
And
Scott and I will make the changes on the wording to make sure it's accurate for you guys.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Williams, thank you.
Thanks.
Up next, everybody good? Strategic plan update, world-class staff recruitment update.
Okay, Mr. Tyler will give, every year we do a strategic plan update, world-class staff as part of that standard that we have in our strategic plan. And every year we just kind of get a quick update as to what our retention rate was for our current certificated staff, how that is aligned with, what our established goal is for that particular standard. And then we also take a look at looking ahead to our upcoming school year, how many positions have we recruited for and hired, as well as what might continue to be a couple challengers that we're still beating the bushes trying to make sure that we get the best certified individual in that classroom. So Mr. Tyler.
No, thank you for this platform this evening. I'll be giving an update on the recruitment and retention efforts with USD230 for the 25-26 school year. Purpose today is just to go through our recruitment snapshot, really talking about the universities that we were able to effectively recruit at for the 25-26 school year, aligned with the certified hiring data. Then going into substitute hiring data, along with the strategies we are looking to incorporate for 26-27, along with the retention data as well, that is on a very positive side. So this is a mantra that we want to continue to push within hiring world-class staff, teach where you matter and grow where you're supported, to lead into those long-term retention efforts for finding the right individuals that can really make an impact with our students. So going into the quantitative data, these are some of the top universities that we were able to really have a good foothold with to generate some mutual relationships with job seekers at universities. And as you can see, the top 4 universities that I really want to talk about are Mid-America Nazarene, Emporia State, Kansas State, and Pitt State. These are the universities that we see the most job seekers at, and where we really try to pull a significant amount of student teachers at these particular universities as well to lead into those long-term recruitment and also those retention efforts. When looking at the certified hiring data, this really breaks down the diversity and the years of experience of those individuals that we have been effectively able to hire for certified staff roles. As you can see, we have 22 total certified staff individuals that are teachers. 10 of them were in the years of 0 to 4 years of experience. 6 of them were in the 5 to 7 year bucket. And then 6 of them were in the 8+ year bucket. It really shows a good mix of not only hiring brand new teachers, but also sprinkling in some more of those experienced teachers as well to really make an impact with our students. This is something I'm very excited to talk about, which is our USD230 Teacher Interview Day. This was a day that we had in the month of February where we were able to find 23 pre-registered interview time slots where individuals had to actually RSVP to interview for upcoming positions. In this time period, however, we did not have a lot of actual vacancies at that particular time, so it gave us an excellent opportunity to really find the cream of the crop candidates. Definitely happy to say that with the work of my HR team, we were actually able to hire 3 certified staff teachers, 1 science teacher, 1 SPED teacher, and then also 1 math teacher as well. This is something that we definitely want to continue to do, and I like to be competitive in regards to comparing our recruitment efforts versus other competitive districts within the KC Metro. And we actually had our February interview day a couple weeks prior than the other competitive districts within the KC Metro as well. I actually had some HR directors write me and say, hey, you guys are getting on the recruitment trail early. Don't take too many candidates. And that's usually a good thing that you want to hear.
Hey, Eric, before you move on from that one, can I just say, I know you said you're excited about that, right? But you should also be incredibly proud of that, because when I look at that from an ROI perspective, like you said, it's unfortunate that we didn't have more openings to fill because you definitely had the funnel full at that time. So nice work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The next slide, I really just wanted to talk about our substitute teacher recruiting efforts and also sub-para recruiting efforts. In November, we hired a HR assistant / sub finder in November of 2025. He's definitely been getting off to a really good start into his role. And in that role, he's actually recruited already 25 sub teachers for the 25-26 school year. He did that in a kind of a 2-pronged approach to really increase the orientations. We used to only do 1 orientation a month for substitutes. Now we're doing those 2 times per month, and then also more forward-facing recruitment efforts to really meet candidates within the community. Our goal for the summer is to actually hire 30 substitute teachers for the 26-27 school year. And out of those 30 teachers that we're looking to hire right now for our first June orientation, we already have 14 individuals already signed up and RSVP'd. So we're definitely very excited. We want to build our bench as high as possible in order to increase our percentages of fill rates with substitute staffing. So looking at our 26-27 recruitment strategies, I really look at it as a cyclical approach. Wanting to make an impact within the teacher candidate pool early, meeting those freshmen, those sophomores early in classrooms. That is something that I consistently do and plan to consistently do because it gives us a great opportunity to set the stage and to share what benefits and what offers that we have available for student teaching experiences. We continue to want to attend those career fairs to develop those connections with candidates. The thing that I definitely want our team to focus more on going into 26-27 is to actually offer more job shadowing experiences. This is very vital because it gives us an opportunity to really sell what USD 230 has to offer for those candidates that we see that are very effective at career fairs and events. So now I want to share some exciting information around retention. We were measuring retention from 21-22 school year all the way to now 25-26. And as you can see, our retention efforts have grown incrementally year over year. And this is the highest retention rate that we have experienced at 93% retention rate. That really speaks to us hiring the right staff and our building leaders, our building leadership, actually cultivating that staff as well to lead into those significant retention rate efforts and also to have that continuous growth moving forward. Many districts, when I talk about, I was a part of a Thrive cohort this past school year when I share that our retention rate is at 93%. A lot of districts that I'm hearing right now is in more that 75 to 85% range. So to know that we're kind of outpacing what the industry is doing within not only the KC Metro, but in the whole state of Kansas really points us into the right direction as well.
All right, Eric, you said one more thing, and I just want you to elaborate on it if you can, right?
Yep.
Because I saw the recognition on LinkedIn. You mentioned the Thrive cohort. Can you give everybody just a little background on exactly what that recognition was that you received from the Thrive folks?
Yeah, I definitely want to say thanks to my predecessor, Michelle Hackney. She gave my name as a recommendation to join the Thrive cohort. The Thrive cohort is an excellent opportunity to have engagement and networking experiences on a month-to-month basis across the whole state of Kansas with different leaders within HR in the educational sector. So learning best practices to learn how recruitment and retention is done in central Kansas versus western Kansas, and then also the KC Metro. It was definitely a melting pot of knowledge, and it was a great experience. I have developed some really good connections with individuals and kind of speak to them now on a weekly basis to really build my network as well too. So it's been an excellent opportunity.
But I just want to make sure you're not sharing your secret sauce with them, right?
I share a little bit, but not too much. A little bit, but not too much. Just I call it a little pinch, a little dabble there. So with the attrition data for 25-26, a couple of things that I really want to point out here. We had actually 2 retirements. The retirement rates were significantly lower than last year. We actually had 2 individuals take promotional administrative positions outside of the district as well. When we lose individuals where they can kind of go to greater pastures, that is expected when you develop the staff properly. We do have a significant amount of teachers that are new parents and are choosing to stay at home. The good thing that I'll share about the 4 individuals, all 4 individuals have told me that in the long term, they plan to work at USD 230 and want to return back once they're ready to come back into the classroom. So going into some of the qualitative data with our exit and stay interviews, we give exit and stay interviews to every individual that's planning to stay with the district and also exit interviews for every individual planning to leave the district. And so some of the top themes that we've seen from the stay interviews, our staff love our students and our kids. That should be our main focus each and every day to really make that long lasting impression with students. Our staff love to work with each other as well too, having those long lasting relationships. I received over 75 responses in the stay interviews, and overwhelmingly, the top responses were always loving the co-workers that they work with and being a part of an effective team. Those were like the common themes and also the common words that were consistently shared. Some of the biggest improvements that we've seen within the school district is really around the facilities growth, the new buildings. Definitely want to give Kylie a shout out there because to me, that is our calling card. When you first look at our district, when you see our district potentially being taken care of, and giving Mark a shout out as well, when you see the district being taken care of in the right way, it gives that positive connotation when you first step foot into our schools. Definitely want to give Kristen a shout out as well with professional collaboration with PLCs. That is something that we kind of received as good overarching impact, and we want to continue to foster that overall lifelong learner development as well. So in this prompt, if you were recruiting candidates for USD230, what would be some of the top reasons you would choose Spring Hill? These would be the top 4 reasons that I would really focus on: the supportive and caring culture, always having that support on a building by building basis when opportunities arise. That came up consistently through our stay interviews. The family atmosphere with staff, growth and innovation, and then also the exceptional students and families, really having those high level expectations for our students to lead within the state of Kansas. Now with the exit themes, what caused you to consider a new job? Changing life events, like I stated before, with birth of a child, that has definitely been very common. New promotional opportunities within the educational sector, but outside of the potential district. And then also some financial considerations of moving closer to hometown. When having conversations with staff members exiting and leaving the district, a few teachers did tell me, hey, I got to move closer to home because of family, or I need to move closer to home for finances. And then what do you want to see change in Spring Hill schools? More growth and innovation for staff looking for career advancement. That can continuously always be a focus of ours for that overall retention effort. And then also with the right size staffing with the SPED caseloads. One thing that I definitely want to say, appreciate the work of Dr. Weber. She does an effective job of always being creative, trying to figure out how can we optimize special education staff. And then Dr. Luttrell, Dr. Robinson, and Dr. Smith, we work as a team really to figure out what is the right size staffing within the constraints, our financial constraints. What does that potentially look like? And we've been able to get some small wins within special education as well. And that kind of concludes my presentation on recruitment and retention. Just initially wanted to see what questions you all may have.
Just got to figure out how to get a few more Jayhawks in the mix, but I saw it was close.
Yeah.
It was 16.
It
was. Team, it was close.
It was, yes.
I don't want to hear it back there, Mr. Freon.
One thing I'll add about KU, that KU number is low. I'm happy you pointed that out. For some reason, this past school year, they actually only had 1 career fair. And so we gave them feedback as educational employers that we need to have 2 career fairs, not only just in the fall, but also in the spring. Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Tyler?
Yeah, Mr. Tyler, how do we start to assess opportunities for that last one? First of all, great job. Retention, recruitment, 2 huge pieces in the success of a school district, especially fastest growing one in the state.
Yeah, thank you.
How do we address the right sizing of SPED caseloads?
No, that's a great question. I think that is something that we must continuously look at on a school year by school year basis. Because when we think about the dynamics of the unknown variables within special education, we just can't look at it as a carbon copy, cookie cutter approach where we have the same amount of staff each year. Some years we might have to draw back on staff, and some years we might have to increase staff based upon some of those academic needs for SPED. And I think that's something that we need to consistently look at.
We need to find that money tree too, right?
Yeah.
That helps.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say, which is, I think, and I don't want to speak for Dr. Weber, but right sizing caseloads has never not been a problem within the district. I know you've been here a year, but you have the insight, and Dr. Robinson, same thing, which is, getting the delta between the roughly statewide 76% and the 92% might go to some way to, hiring the staff that we need to right size those caseloads so students get to the outcomes that they can achieve.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay, Mr. Tyler, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I will say, everybody's doing a phenomenal job presenting, knowing that you guys have recently switched to 10-hour days. I'm sure everybody's starting to get a little tired. Up next, and the highlight of tonight.
Oh, yes.
Girls flag football.
All right. Well, thank you. And appreciate you guys coming to hear me talk again and to request to add another activity for our high school. I know that we talked about this a little bit when I was talking about bowling, and we did do a survey. And so those survey results are in there. We did do the survey before it was sanctioned by Keisha. And so on April 23rd, this past spring, Keisha did sanction girls flag football for this coming year. So that put us in quite a pinch as far as getting things together and working things out. And but we're kind of up for that challenge. So as it has on here, it has our student interest. We did have 289 students that responded. So a fairly low number really as far as surveying 1,200 kids. We did survey everybody, so obviously this is only open to girls, but I did do genders and we worked it out. We had approximately 50 students that decided they would be interested in girls flag football. I've talked to other spring sports coaches. I looked at what kids were saying that they were interested in doing flag football, and they weren't as involved or not involved at all in the fall. So I feel like it's not going to take away from a lot of our fall sports as far as already being there. So I feel like as far as these numbers and having these 6 girls that came and talked to us, and that I'm sure, hopefully they filled out the form. Okay, good. All right. So, but they did come and talk to us, and I appreciate them coming tonight. And they kind of spearheaded us and kept us kind of moving along. And as you're in education and all along, we've always been here for our kids. And so we feel like this is something that we need to make sure we're doing. And especially, I think it would make a lot of sense to wait a year and to get everything in line and do all that. But those girls will be in college and they'd have to do intramurals at that time. And so, we really want to try to see and make this happen for them, to be able to give them that opportunity to be able to participate in the inaugural season. As far as the season goes, it is an 8-week season. I put on there, it kind of mirrors tennis season, just to give you an idea of how that would work. And what the competitive schedule is going to look like is 6 to 10 games. Again, still really waiting on Keisha to give us some more information on how this is going to be set up and what it's going to look like as far as a competitive schedule out there. But that's where it kind of lines up. That's very doable as far as starting games there after Labor Day, and then working way through the October 11th being the final.
And this is not solidified yet, but we would anticipate when it comes to the postseason, there's some other structures with like soccer that Keisha would likely have like a 6A playoff, a 5A playoff, and then a 1A through 4A playoff, which is what they do with some other sports. So that's to be determined, but that would be kind of what we would anticipate for this first year.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. As far as some area schools and participation, we are again moving to the United Kansas Conference next year. So both Piper and DeSoto have already committed to having girls flag football. The others are still evaluating, kind of in the same process we are. There have been a couple of schools that did say they would not be doing it next year. But then other schools within the area, I'm not going to read them all off. But we would have definitely, I wouldn't anticipate us traveling and having to travel too far to be able to participate and be able to get in 6 to 10 games with all the schools within the KC Metro that are listed there that have already stated that they will have teams. As far as coaching recommendations, we're asking for a head coach and an assistant coach. I align those with the tennis groupings because of the length of the season, and number of participants is fairly the same. So I put in there in Group D for the head coach and Group G for the assistant coach. Feeling that align nicely there. As far as team structure, obviously, again, just depends on how many participants we have. We would cap it at 32 players, so we're thinking that would be the max number that we would have. And that would give us a varsity and junior varsity. If we only have a varsity team, maybe so. We just got to look at who all is going to show up. I think we got 6. So, but after that, we could see the rest. As far as uniform equipment costs, I estimated around $75 to $100 per athlete. That gets us a uniform. The only equipment that is needed is a mouthpiece for the girl and the flag. So, but that's the only NFHS requirement for the girls is to be able to have a mouthpiece. So, obviously, additional equipment storage needs are definitely there. And we get to the practice competition facilities. And again, this is going to have to take some definite what do you want to say?
It'll take some work.
Work.
Working with our other teams and organizations who use some of these spaces, we'll have to be cooperative and collaborative with.
There you go. The collaboration is definitely something, and I feel like, and this also goes back to, we have swimming, we don't have a swimming pool. We have bowling, we don't have a bowling alley. We found a way. So we're gonna find a way as well, but we will need support. We will need support down the road as far as being able to make these things happen. We know that, again, as we continue to grow, that we need some more turf areas, even for our different activities right now. So adding another one isn't great, but we've got some areas. We got some areas that'll make it work, and so I listed them on there. Some different areas that we're just going to have to get creative, and we're going to have to know that it's going to take some growing pains as far as. And it's maybe not going to be at the same practice, same location, and we might have to move around some, but that's just going to be what it takes. But we do have.
Hey, real quick,
Yeah.
I do have a suggestion on that. I don't know if you've thought about this, but like that soccer field, what time do they finish soccer practice? Could it be like a later in
Yeah.
the evening practice or something where you're,
For sure.
they use the
And-
soccer
and-
field every day, but it doesn't start till 6 o'clock at night or whatever?
And for that matter, football as well. If
Yeah.
once football's over, and really the football field's the best because it already is lined. And so teaching routes and things on an unlined field is kind of hard.
And there's lights out
a lot
there,
of time.
so if it were to get dark, they could still
Yeah.
practice. I know.
For sure.
I know that schools like St. James and those others, they don't have enough, there's not enough practice facilities. So sometimes,
Yeah.
you have a basketball practice that doesn't start till 6 o'clock at night. And I mean, it's not ideal, but
And that's,
we still able to get the practice in, even though the kids have to come back.
yep. And actually, Kansas City Piper, they had a clubs team last year, and they're already going to have a team this coming year. And their plan, again, is just to practice after the football team is what they did last year, and that's how they made it work. So there's definitely some creative ways you can do it. Again, I put on there that the competition field would be site to be determined, most likely the Spring Hill District Stadium. The commitment for future needs, as we just talked about, the additional turf practice field would be huge. Some designated competition space, expanded stadium seating at the district stadium as well. And as we host football games on Friday night, and then potentially adding on girls flag football. There's even some schools in Wichita for the club sports did it before the for the Friday night game even. So there's some creative ways to be able to utilize that space. Expanded locker room space is, again, just something that we're facing, additional storage. Those are all kind of obstacles and things that we're going to need to be able to look at. And again, that's not necessarily by adding just girls flag football. That's just something we're staring right at anyway. So adding another activity is just going to expand that need. Where we're going. There we go. All right. As far as transportation, I did talk to First Student and got down some estimates, and I'll have those here in just a minute. They are down some drivers, so if any drivers are listening or anybody else wants to, I did put out a plea to our coaches as well to see if any of them would be interested in getting their CDL, because they could drive the bus and get paid for that, and their stipend or their supplemental for coaching. So trying to keep hit that up. But we will be able to coordinate with them, be able to do that. Officials are $50 per game. There's 3 of them on the staff there, so it'd be $150 a night. With any activities, we only pay the officials for when we host games. So on all the estimates I put on there, that that it was just like a half. And so I did it off of 10 games. And so we'd just be hosting half of the games if we did all 10. And again, they said we only have to do 6 in order to qualify for the postseason. So that might be the case too, just depending on who we could be able to schedule. As far as admission, we could decide whether or not we want to charge admission or not. So that would be up to us. If we did, it'd be the same that we do as far as 6 for students and 8 for adults. I talked to our trainer, Jamie Blackham, and she was aware of this, and she's already talked to her supervisor. And if it's needed, if she only has a certain number of hours that she's not supposed to go over, if she reaches that, we do have the PRN that we can bring in and be able to bring in another trainer from KU staff to be able to provide for that. And we do that anyway on like weeks when we host our wrestling tournaments and things like that. We do have to bring in sometimes another one if she reaches a limit on her hours. So there's all the numbers had down for you guys to be able to look over. Again, I just did half of the games. If we did a total of 10 games, half of them, assuming that half of those would be home. So that's the total amount that we came up with. Questions? Go ahead. There's got to be a lot.
Oh, yeah. So what's the ideal roster size then to field a team? You've got 32 in here, but it seems to me that would be enough for both varsity and JV.
For sure.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So the number
7-on-7 would be on the field. So
Okay.
7.
So the number
7 players on field.
forecast here basically contemplates going forward with varsity and JV.
And JV.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And we didn't jump the gun by putting this on as an action item, did we? Do you think Keisha's gonna be ready for a fall
They
season?
better be. They said they would be. So.
Okay. Okay.
They said they would be. They haven't gotten anything. And they've just, I mean, state was, they're 10 days out from state being over. So I'm sure they're working on it and they'll get something out.
Yeah.
They've published a list of schools that, and Mr. Freegon included them, who are planning on participating across the state, and then another list of schools who are on the fence.
Yeah.
And determining whether or not they're going to.
At some point, there's going to be a cascade
Yes.
with all of these falling into place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just a couple of suggestions for you. Inaugural season, my personal opinion would be we don't charge any admission to just promote it. Really for the younger girls to see exactly what we're providing for them, number one. And then number two, I know Clay, you and I have discussed this before, and Kyle, you and I have discussed this before, but I do believe students should be free to all of our events with the exception of where Keisha wants to get their VIG on the gate, right? So just my suggestion, but yeah, I can't wait and put my name on the list for a shirt.
Okay.
I want
All right.
the first shirts.
I want to be on the list for the hat.
Oh, okay.
That's the list I
Okay.
want to be on.
All
I
right.
want to be on a hat. First off, actually, you all have been sitting there and I'm just going to apologize to our athletes because I normally, I try to make the motions and stuff and I try to move the student stuff ahead. So you don't have to sit and listen to us talk about all this other stuff. So I apologize and I appreciate your patience in being here. It's just, your parents have been calling and emailing a lot. So I'm just going to take my moment not to ask any questions. I think there's things to work out. I trust you're going to work them out. I trust that I'm going to be just as proud of you all as I am our girls wrestling. I know you're going to show out. I'm going to show up and I couldn't be more excited for this.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, I'm quite honestly fighting back tears at the fact that we have 6 students sitting here on June 8th at 7:45. That you guys care that much to be sitting here. And for you guys to make this happen, I mean, you've only had weeks. And I know it's been brewing and I know there's been conversation, but you've literally had weeks at a time of year where you don't have a lot of free time. And the fall schedule is busy. So your determination to make this happen, especially for these students who are also showing up to support you, is really phenomenal. So I'm going to stop before I go there. I thank you guys for showing up and doing this. And thank you all the parents who are reaching out too. Cause yeah, we're getting a lot of emails about it too.
My only comment is that Personally, I am an advocate for young women, but young women in sports. And I only wish that flag football was a possibility when I was in school because, I mean, I was this close of cutting my hair and going as a boy to play football. But I do appreciate all of you for coming and for advocating for yourselves because it does mean a great deal. And I have received the emails, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, we've received the emails, the calls, the conversations. And now almost unfortunately, tomorrow, we're going to get the accolades and the thanks, and we don't deserve it. These two guys right here deserve it, and you six out there deserve it. So thank you to all of you.
You bet.
Okay, anything, we do have this as an action item. Could we rearrange the schedule to move it up?
And
Let's just do this and we'll.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda. Need a second?
Second.
Because you can't do it all at once. We have to get the approval and then the.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. And we need to take the vote.
Yep.
Mrs. Henderson, please take the vote.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
approved.
Okay, Madam President, I move to amend the agenda to move action item 9.05 above 9.01. And we will break the system of math.
Right.
5 comes before 1.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, conversations? Okay, Mrs. Henderson, please click the vote.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yeah, yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
approved.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm ready to make the motion.
I was just saying, we just moved it to the agenda, right?
Yes, that wasn't the official vote to approve it.
Don't pack your stuff up yet. You have to hear all the.
Now it's first in the action item list. We still have to do the formal approval
We're moving
just to make it complicated.
for flag football.
I move to approve flat football as presented.
There we go. We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any conversation, questions? Mrs. Henderson, please click the vote.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes?
Mr. Chitwood,
Heck yeah.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
approved.
Now, there we go.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys for showing up. Yeah, let's take a quick 5-minute break.
Guys.
Thank you. Okay, we are at 7:57. If everybody will come back, we'll get started. We're missing Ted, I think. Okay, we'll get started. Still down one, but. Well, I can see it on the screen. Okay, 9.02. Is Ted, Dr. Weber, do you mind looking, is Ted just in the? Okay, thanks. 9.02, the 27-28 district academic calendar.
I will say it very slowly,
There you go.
but I move to approve 9.02, the district academic calendar, with sixth grade having their own first day of school to themselves, which is, I don't have the calendar up anymore, which is the August 16th. And then
7th and 8th, first day would be.
yeah, 7th and 8th would then have their first day as a half day,
Full day.
or is it a full day? As a full day, but it's the 25th.
And the 17th.
The first day of classes.
Right.
16th.
Right. Isn't that what I said out loud? First day of school for sixth grade is a half day on the 16th.
Yes, K through 6th and 9th all have that first half day on the 16th.
Oh, and 9th. Sorry, and 9th.
You're good.
Sorry, because that wasn't changing. Now, the next thing is the 25th. And the 25th is a half day as well.
May 25th.
May 25th. Yes. Sorry. It's the day after my birthday, so I just.
No apology, John. 2.5 years of doing these motions, and this is the first time.
I've really flubbed it.
You just kind of stumbled.
I didn't hit it. I didn't have my computer back up, and that's what really messed me over. So did we get that? Okay.
Okay, we have a motion.
Thank you for tackling that.
I second.
We have a second.
I flubbed it.
Any other conversation, question? Okay, Mrs. Henderson, please collect the vote.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
I'm not sure I'm 100% clear on the motion and I didn't hear a second.
Autumn got
You-
a second.
Okay, before taking a vote, can we pause for discussion?
Yes.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chitwood, if you could repeat the motion for me.
Yeah, the motion is, and I'm trying to bring the calendar back up so I can say it, which is that May the 16th,
No, August.
or August, God. I just had my 50th birthday and that's why I'm stuck on May. Anyway, so August the 16th is a half day for 9th, which it's always been. Right?
It's been a full day, first day for 9th.
9th only,
Yes.
right? That's what I mean. It's been a full.
The high school.
At the high school. But what is changing, what is different is now 6th is going to have their own, them in building, no other students, correct? On the 16th. And then the 17th is then going to be the first full day for everybody.
7th
So everybody else at the middle,
district.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think to make it a little more clear is it's K through 6 plus 9th.
I think everybody's clear on it and I think there's a consensus here. I'm not clear on the procedure and that we worded everything right is my concern.
Yeah. Will be a half day on the 16th.
okay, if you want to make the motion, I'm more than.
Yeah.
My suggestion before the motion was gonna be to not take action. I think it was clearly communicated, and this is a simple checkbox in 2 weeks.
And get that.
And just to make sure everything is clear.
Oh, just move this to an action item in the next meeting?
Yes, just
Oh,
no,
okay,
no,
I'm
no
fine with that.
action tonight. And I don't think it's worthy of discussion. I think we've achieved consensus here.
Well, I think
Just to make sure it's clearly communicated and
well,
not, oops, I meant to say, we can just have it in writing from Mr. Williams or whoever put it together last time. Put it together again. We don't need to discuss it, and just let's take the vote next time.
well, since there was a motion and a second, we just all need to say no now. And then Mark can put it together and put it on the consent agenda. Because that's where we are at.
It would alleviate any confusion.
That's fine.
After
I'll vote no.
the vote's on me, we already started, so my vote's no.
Mr. Miller,
No.
Mrs. Horn?
No.
Mr. Chitwood?
No.
Mrs. Baker?
No.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet?
No.
Motion failed.
Thank you.
Hey, but we all did it together.
Right, we failed together. We did. Okay, the next one. Are we at 9.04? I'm sorry. There we go. 9.03, approve Spring Hill Education Association and USD 230 negotiated agreement for 2026, 2027.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I'll take
Okay, I'll move to approve the negotiated agreement.
there's a motion. Is there a second?
Yes.
And a second. Any more conversation? Ted seconded. Any more conversation questions on the agreement? Okay, Mrs. Henderson, please select the vote.
Mr. Beecham?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet?
Yes.
Mr. Hull?
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, up next, Board of Education meeting calendar for 26-27. And in the motion, we just need to make sure we specify which version, either the 28 or the 15.5, because there are two versions included. I will take a motion.
Madam President, I'll motion I'm sorry, Rachel, will you help me out here? First timer.
Which version? You just need to say, Madam President, I'd like to motion to approve version.
Okay. Madam President, I'd like to motion to approve version 15.5 of the Board of Education meeting schedule.
We have a
Version 2.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any more conversation, questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to start, John, because I've done everything I can besides break out the club and beat you guys over the head like a baby seal here. And my first question for the four of you that are newly elected to the board was this part of your platform when you were running for election? Was to actually get on and shorten your commitment to this board? Because it wasn't for me. I knew what I was signing myself up for. And I was completely content with fulfilling that obligation. Spring Hill School District is the largest employer in Spring Hill. We manage a budget of $100 million plus dollars. But for some reason, you all feel, and I say you all, the cabal, feel that it's in your best interest to shorten it up because you don't have the time or you haven't really made the full commitment to serve on the board. So therefore, my vote will be no.
I've expressed my opinion on this many times. It doesn't need to be rehashed. I'm prepared to support the recommendation of our superintendent here. And I would appreciate if my colleagues would respect this position and this board with a level of decorum.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I have more discussion. You know, my discussion is kind of around, the last schedule and process that we came to it through a work session and had agreement on what actions would be taken. So we had good information and things got out and we had an orderly work process, right? And so now this new 15-minute schedule is, and I was in the camp of, I definitely think that we could have a couple of fewer meetings, but that this schedule will lead to needing to have special meetings for things that are nothing burgers in reality, but everybody's going to drop what they're doing and so on and so forth. Water under the bridge. How are we on a monthly schedule then going to address the various deadlines that come along with this? So the information that board members and the public need to review before a meeting are out in a suitable amount of time, right? Because that's the issue that we saw for the last time, right? Was getting a schedule. And my contention here is that as part of this, we're going to have the understanding of the schedule is that when is the agenda review meeting going to move to? When are then all final materials except for like the finance report? We know that it changes up until the last day. It's kind of the same thing with the HR report. It changes up until the last day, but those aren't really material things that affect us. But contracts and policy and big spend and all that kind of stuff, to be even more efficient, that has to be out there in advance. When we see something, we say, hey, hey, Dr. Robinson, I'm going to have a question about this. So I'm not putting you on the spot, because my concern is we do this 15-day schedule and then we come in here and we find more deal breakers, right? Whereas they're getting resolved now when there's a deal breaker on the schedule. Hey, we can't get the motion right, so it's not clear enough. Okay, we'll punt it. Well, now the default behavior is going to be everything's going to be punted for a month. And then it's going to turn into, well, no, I just need you to say yes now because we're at this deadline. Which brings up the next point, which is this is actually going to push things even further out or further forward to, we're going to discuss it in month 1 and then take action in month 2, right? Which sometimes is going to be a challenge. So for that reason, I'm going to vote no. But I would still like to have the understanding of what the procedure is going to be with this schedule, because expecting board members to review now 2 meetings worth of work over a weekend and then ask all of their questions on a Monday, I think is an unreasonable expectation.
One thing I'd like to also mention is, you had mentioned, John, that we had work sessions where, under our previous president, we sat down and we created goals for the year. And that was kind of how our schedule was aligned, was with the goals that we had and how we wanted to move forward as a board and the things that we wanted to achieve. And the number of meetings was determined based on that as well. And unfortunately, we haven't done that with this new board. We haven't all sat down and talked about what our goals are and what we'd like to achieve as a team, as a board. And I feel like that's probably something that we should have done already. And before agreeing on how many meetings we actually need. So I'm also going to vote no, because I feel like that's something that our board needs to do. And I think that 15 meetings just isn't enough, frankly.
Did you want to answer the timelines?
Yes. First of all, moving from the 28 that we had recently down to 15, the impetus for making sure that we're successful is going to definitely be on me and our internal administrative team. We have had many discussions since we started talking about the reduction when we started talking about the meeting schedule, and it was mentioned, maybe we could look at some different options. And it was felt that moving completely down to one a month was definitely going to be biting off probably more than we wanted to initially, but that the 15 was doable. With the 15 though, we are going to need to take a look, and there's going to have to be some collaboration on the fact that right now, currently, with our meetings on a Monday, and it's taking the fact that we would keep those meetings on a Monday, current format, we would try to have all the items on the agenda uploaded, and then try to give a general skeleton available to you all just for a quick review on the Tuesday evening prior to the next Monday email, Monday meeting, and then on Wednesday of the week prior to the Monday meeting is when we had our agenda review meeting to finalize. And then by Wednesday evening at late afternoon is whenever we had to you all the final, okay, here's the agenda. Again, then as Mr. Chitwood said, barring any, the personnel addendums that come up, finance report to finalize that. We are going to need to extend that deadline, extend that timeline to where there needs to be a full week where you all do have that information to be able to review, meaning that we're going to have to require, should this be adopted, have our internal team have all of their information into our office to the board clerk and upload it by that Friday afternoon, a whole 10 days prior to whenever the meeting is. Then ideally from there, we would then ideally sometime early Monday or around noon, have our agenda review. And then to where you all have by Monday afternoon, the full agenda, and you've got the full week then to look at it, ask email questions back and forth. That's going to definitely be a big item that's going to have to occur for this to be successful. But again, I'm confident that again, if everybody, works together, it can be successful. But the impetus is going to be to make it work truly is going to be on our internal team.
And we have set the calendar at this time of year in the past years, and we do a board retreat in the summer. So this is this timeline we have followed the past 3 years, I believe. So nothing has changed there.
I just want to make sure I understood the explanation. I'm still in the discussion phase. So in theory, if I pull out a calendar for July 13th, I just want to make sure I'm following along with what it said. So July 13th, that means the materials would be available to us Wednesday the 1st. Am I following along correctly?
Not Wednesday the 1st.
I'm sorry, Friday. This is why I'm asking the question.
Monday before, so.
Monday the 6th.
Well, he said, okay. 6, 7, 8,
He said
9,
that they
10.
would have.
That's 7 days in advance, not 10. The word 10 was said.
10
That's why I'm confused.
10 is the day, 10 days is when the information would be to us on the Friday, a full 10 days prior to the Monday meeting, 10 days later, and to where ideally we would be able to at least post a general skeleton to the board. Okay, so it's ready for you all to maybe look at over the weekend, but then we would have the agenda review on Monday, okay, to be able to set that and then get that to you. But so in other words, the skeleton, ideally on that Friday, no later than the Monday morning, but definitely have an agenda, finalize the full by late afternoon on Monday, which is the full week before the meeting on the next Monday.
Great. And so my question is, when are all the materials going to be uploaded for public and board review? What's that deadline date?
The board would have them on that Monday at the latest for the full Monday, the full agenda. Now, I don't think does it go public then, Rachel? You're the one that knows when you make.
Well, that's fine as long as it's, I don't want to say it's fine. But I just want to make sure I understand. So the expectation is staff is going to have full materials and by the 3rd, it will then get reviewed on the Monday, the 6th. And any yea or nay that's decided at that meeting. And then it will go live on the 7th.
It'll go live on Friday still to the,
It'll go live on Friday, the 10th.
to the public, yes.
So again, we're getting back to the public's going to have a weekend to review it. Okay, yeah, I don't agree with that. And that's my level of discussion. The public should have time to prepare.
Haven't they always had a weekend to review it though? If we public,
One meeting's worth of materials. Now we're going to be 2 meetings worth of materials. And we're going to a place where we're going to want to discuss and have action in the same meeting, which is going to give the public perception that we're rushing things through. And they're going to have that perception on occasion because it will become true. Right? And that's my objection to it, right? We're a deliberative body. We want to listen to people. And like I get back to my feeling on this is we can schedule it for 20 meetings. If y'all can knock it out in 15, we can cancel the other 5. I think we're pigeonholing ourselves. So I'll end my portion of discussion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mrs. Henderson, will you collect the vote?
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood,
No.
Mrs. Baker,
No.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
yes.
Mr. Hull,
No.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
approved.
Okay. Moving on to future discussion items. I think we can pull flag football off. Anything else we need to add?
It sounds like we're gonna need to add the cell phone discussion back to the list based on the conversation this evening to be,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we just can't go ahead and put it on the board calendar. I mean, I know that's next, but
Okay, yeah.
I think we can just skip right ahead to that.
Good.
Because I think we want to check in, right?
Yes, that's what I want to make sure.
We can add it to the board calendar.
Yeah, and then I want to just touch base on the device usage data, the audit log that I've been asking for now for what? Over a year. And then in the same vein, I've been after an audit of attendance at the high school from last fall. I've gone to all the different departments, leadership, and asked for the same thing. And it's apparently fallen on deaf ears. So I'd like to add to the list an attendance audit report from fall of 2025. And the reason for that is I have zero confidence that attendance has been adequately addressed at the high school. And if we can't even expect our teachers to take attendance, how can we expect our teachers to enforce the law as it relates to the device policy? So I don't know, maybe I'll get a report one day.
Can we add that to the calendar too, or?
That would be a future discussion item because we'll have to give that one some framework and decide if it moves forward. Because remember, this is future discussion items. It doesn't mean it's a done deal submitted item. So will you add that one, Ms. Henderson? Thank you. Okay, anything else for future discussion items? Board work calendar.
We are about to finish up our fiscal year, calendar year, and we have a couple items still remaining that we will be bringing to you. Next meeting, big item will get a bond update, as well as we do expect to have our bids in for our final phase of the building opportunity bond, the CTE expansion. And we have currently finalizing those bids that were received to bring to you, and hopefully we will be asking for you to review them as well as possibly take action with them on the evening of the 22nd. So that's the last one, the last few items we have for this year. We also we'll have the final report. It won't be the final, but we'll also continue to get, as we're near the end of the fiscal year, our how we're doing with our budget. And we also, as you know, from the consent agenda that we had tonight, because we are republishing the budget, we will have, the opportunity for a public budget hearing that is aligned to the republishing, not the new fiscal year 27 budget, but that'll be also coming up in June. So that's what we've got coming up, and we are about at the end of the end of the work for this fiscal year, and we'll be gearing up and ready to start all over come July.
Okay, and you'll add the follow-up to the phone policy and for next, November, December-ish?
Probably, maybe, you can be whenever you all want. I would probably recommend at least, let's give it the first quarter, which would be through October, mid-October-ish, and then maybe bring that at our October, November meeting and kind of see where we're at.
Okay, November, please. Yeah. Okay. Board reports. Anybody have anything?
Really, the only thing is, Mrs. Skibby over at Prairie Creek, obviously, the construction is underway on the playground. And I know she's been pleading through her own communication channels, but I just want to reinforce it here for all of the parents that live in the area to keep their kids away from that playground area. It's moving along nicely. I noticed, Mark, that they've actually now moved some of the equipment itself into a staging area close to the work site. But there's been obviously a lot of interest on kids on scooters, on bikes, and even parents walking over there with their kids. And we would just caution everybody to stay away from the site while it's an active construction site.
Anything else? Board member reports.
Board member report wise, I was able to attend for a very brief moment virtually. The She Sites Council went over data. They continue to work on making progress on student achievement and, very much looking forward to completion of their projects, new HVAC and all that kind of good stuff.
I was invited to observe one of our tennis camps this past week for middle schoolers and freshmen by Mr. Matthew, our assistant tennis coach, sorry. And they got a great program going. Looks like they had a lot of growth, a number of state qualifiers, a lot of good things going. What he did show me was some of the deficiencies in the court that kind of makes it prohibitive to hold tournaments and such at the high school. So just as we look at all of our athletic programs, I want to make sure that some of these, maybe ones that don't have as many students participate in, still get the attention they deserve.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, Dr. Luttrell, superintendent's report.
Just a few items, as we just mentioned, the bond project continued. They're in full swing, especially now that we've got summer underway and our students and staff are not on campus. The classroom additions, along with our HVAC and roofing replacements, are on schedule for us to have them up and going. The classroom additions occupied by the time the school year starts, and the HVAC and roofing work fairly completed enough in time, to also start the year, but probably the HVAC is not fully calibrated and everything until probably more as we get closer to into September, but we're in good shape there. And then, as I said, we have received the bids for the CTE edition at the high school. We actually got those in last week. We had a good number of bids received, and we're getting full clarity. And we again hope to have those for you all to review and make some decisions on the 22nd. And then, as you've heard me communicate in our Friday update and also shared as part of our Connect meetings, was that although it's still unofficial, our brick and mortar preliminary data indicates that our students have continued to perform very well on the mandated Kansas assessments in math, ELA, and science. And when the appropriate time comes, we'll be able to present that, from Dr. Smith and Mrs. Ogden. I think you're going to be very pleased. You've already seen some preliminary that I've shared, but all of that, again, it doesn't happen by itself. It's a testament, to not only your support, but to our dedicated staff, our outstanding students, along with our supportive parents. So again, it shows that the many things that you as a board are doing, as we said earlier about our return on investment, it's paying off because at the end of the day, student success, student achievement is what we're here for. That's my superintendent's report.
Great, thank you. And executive session.
Madam, I move the board go into executive session to discuss for employer-employee negotiations under COMA. Those to be in session include the Board of Education members, superintendent of schools, and assistant superintendent and administrators as requested. The executive session to begin at 8:32 with the open meeting resuming at
20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes? How much time do you think? 15, 20 minutes?
For it, we can do it in 15 minutes. I mean, it's just, I mean, I've shared with you what the recommendations for the classified is. Administrators, we can definitely, they'll go over the numbers in more detail. And then if you need to extend, you can, but I think 15 minutes would be more than appropriate, would be enough. But
Okay, so 47, right? 15, okay, at 8:40, with the open meeting resuming at 8:47 at this place.
Second.
Having a motion, a second, any other discussion? Mrs. Henderson, please click the vote.
Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Beecham?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood?
Yes.
Approved.
Executive session, 10 minutes.
Second. You guys getting the dance floor ready?
Okay, Mr. Hull? Mr. Hull?
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Horn?
Yes.
And Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Approved.
Oh, well, Mr. Vice President, I move that the board go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters of non-elected personnel to protect the privacy interest of unidentifiable individuals under coma. Those to be in session include the Board of Education members, superintendent of schools. That's it. The executive session is begin at 9 o'clock with the open meeting resuming at 9:30 at this place.
Second.
Motion and a second. Rachel, take the vote, please.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
approved.
I motion that we extend executive session 20 more minutes.
Second.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
And Ms. Baker.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
approved.
We're back. Billy, are we back? Okay, we're back. We have an action item to approve the certified administrative contracts and work agreements with salary enhancement, not including the superintendent.
Madam President, I move to approve 16.01 as presented and recommended.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other conversation? Anything else? Okay, Dr. Henderson, please click the vote.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman Martinet,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mr. Beecham,
Yes.
approved.
Okay. And we are adjourned. Thanks, guys.